A group of high-stakes traders is at the center of an investigation into $2 billion worth of losses at America's biggest bank. The team at JP Chase took bets on financial markets, bets designed to protect the bank against its other investments, but the strategy dramatically backfired. Kristen Salumi has the latest from New York.
It was a shocking announcement from JP Chase, the United States' largest bank based on assets, reporting a $2 billion loss. CEO Jamie Dimon blamed a failed hedging strategy and admitted on a conference call with stock analysts they could lose as much as $1 billion more.
We were reducing that hedge, but in hindsight, the new strategy was flawed, complex, poorly reviewed, poorly executed, and poorly monitored. The portfolio has proven to be riskier, more volatile, and less effective as an economic hedge than we thought. Therefore, the volatility for the rest of this quarter and next quarter or so will be high.
A trader nicknamed the London Whale is being blamed for much of the loss by making large and risky investments, which the company's hedges couldn't cover. Wall Street has been at odds with Washington over financial regulations enacted after the 2008 economic crisis, with the CEO of JP leading the opposition. But his company's loss plays right into reformers' hands. The centerpiece of the new regulations, the so-called Volcker Rule, forbids banks from making bets with their own money. A final version is expected to be issued by federal officials in the coming months. The finance industry, including Dimon, has been pushing for exceptions.
Well, as he said himself, there's egg on his face, and it does play very well, as he says, into the pundits who have been advocating the Volcker Rule and also the actual scenario of being too big to fail. So I think it's not a good move.
That may be why Dimon is blaming his own staff's poor execution for the loss, not the inherent risks of hedging markets, which reformers argue are once again plain to see. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera, New York.
Well, the accusations put Bruno Ixel and his colleagues on an unenviable list of traders who've lost huge sums of money in recent years. In 2008, French trader Jérôme Kerviel was convicted over more than $7 billion worth of losses at Société Générale. And then there's UBS trader Kweku Adeboli, who's awaiting trial, accused of making unauthorized trades which cost the Swiss bank over $2 billion. Chris Roebuck is a visiting professor at London's Cass Business School and has previously held senior roles at international banks, including UBS. Professor, thanks for being with us. This is highly embarrassing for JP. How could something like this have happened?
It's a big problem, and actually this doesn't just affect banks, this affects any organisation where things go seriously wrong. And the key questions that have to be asked are, one, why did this individual think that this was a good thing to do? Two, how come the systems didn't pick it up before it got out of hand? Three, how did that individual's boss and the people around them either not spot it or not do anything about it? And four, how can you have a situation where the chief executive of the organisation is saying the things that they're saying, but people lower down obviously are taking no notice?
So this was a problem more to do with management and internal systems rather than the system with regulation, if you like, banking regulations.
To some degree, yes. And if you look at you can say it was complex financial products, but it's down to those basic issues that all organisations have to face. And the key question is, what is the degree to which you are prepared to regulate against people doing this or doing that? Because you have to balance that issue against the fact that the organisation has to be able to do business. You can have a perfectly safe business with no risk, but it won't do any business. And I think this is the challenge that we have here. What is the degree to which we have to take out of the control of the banks the decision about what they can do and how they can do it, or the degree to which we're prepared to trust them?
Is it possible ever to regulate against something like this happening in an industry that is so complex?
Well, as a senior risk officer once said to me, look, I know for a fact that in an organisation of this size, somebody somewhere is doing something they shouldn't be doing. Statistically, it has to happen. We have to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. But I think the key issue is you have to ask the question, how can you create within that organisation a spirit that says we know what is right and what is wrong, from the chief executive at the top to the lowest person at the bottom. And the problem is that some of the more laissez-faire people in the banking industry still don't adhere to that principle of I should be able to do what I want to do and I shouldn't have to do what people want me to do. The issue is that it's not just the banks, as I say. People doing things wrong and not sticking to those basic rules were exactly what went wrong. Bhopal, Exxon Valdez, Gulf of Mexico. So it's not just the banks. But I think with the banks, we have to come up with a big question about, we have to stop these people creating problems that could go out into the wider economy and cause unemployment or whatever.
Shares in JP Morgan, of course, fell when this all came to light today. It's clear that the markets have lost a little confidence in that particular institution anyway. Do you think that we're likely to see more loss of confidence in an already damaged sector in the banking industry in coming days?
There will be a loss of confidence, but I think one of the key issues is that the way that Jamie Dimon has handled it is to say, look, we did something wrong, we'll find out what went wrong and we'll make sure it doesn't happen again. And as long as the market has confidence in his ability, then I think they should be safe in the long term.
Chris, great to talk to you. Many thanks for being with us here at Al Jazeera, Professor Chris Roebuck.